Addiction for me means a way to escape my feelings, responsibility, life, and reality.
My name is Lisette, and I'm 24 years old, and I'm an addict. All I remember from being a little girl, I was very, very afraid, always walking on my toes. My father was really absent. My mother was very dependent on him and also on me. I really remember from my youth that there was a lot of tension. I was very afraid of my mom. I always had this feeling that I had to be a very good girl.
I never learned how to handle my emotions. We did not talk about it, so I found my own way to deal with them. I either ate, shopped, drank, or used them away.
Eventually, when I was 16, I just sought comfort in creating my own reality that I could just escape into because at school I got bullied. I just felt really alone. I didn't want to live in this reality anymore. At 17, my best friend did drugs for the first time. She told me it was a very, very good feeling. She had always been kind of an example for me. So I thought, well, if she can do it, then maybe I could too. Finally found a way to escape my unhappiness and also loneliness and the fearful thinking in my own head.
By the end, I created such a distance from my own feelings. There was only one feeling left: anxiety. Now that I don't use or drink anymore, the feeling slowly came back. They say in my program, the good thing from recovery is that you get your feelings back, but on the other hand, you get your feelings back. On 7 December 2019, I got clean. The first few months were very difficult. I was too afraid to go outside and shortly said I was not in my right mind.
I didn't want to live the life I had anymore. I also didn't want to die. So that only left me with one choice, and that was to change everything. It was a very hard process, actually, because the point with addiction is that the mental part in your brain tells you you don't have a problem because there are always other people who have it worse. That doesn't mean that you yourself don't have a problem.
I went to Yes We Can for 10 weeks. One of the hardest things for me was to let people in, to make real connections. I was and sometimes still am convinced people don't want to be friends with me.
It was a very unique experience. It's very confronting because they really confront you with your own behaviors. It's that the behaving you have is not good. Yet it was also a very loving and safe environment. I turned 23 over there, and it was just a very relieving thought that I was among loving and safe people. Because the year before that, when I turned 22, I woke up in a nearby town and I didn't know any of the people who were in the room with me, and I was afraid. Reality hit you quite hard. Certainly, after a few weeks back into the real world, you get back into society, you have to do your recovery on your own, well, going to AA meetings. In that process, I noticed that there's only a handful of people that really make it. There are people who relapse, people who die. At those moments, you just stand there and you realize, okay, that could be me.
Feelings and emotions I have suppressed for a very long time also find their way back. to me right now. The result is that some days I have no clue why I'm feeling sad or angry, but that is just my body processing the past experiences. Sometimes I'm so anxious and overloaded because I can't handle how much it is, or I have the feeling that I just want to give up. I compare it to this curtain of smoke that lifts from around my brain, where I used to just ignore everything and go throughout life with no feelings. I now cry because they changed the setting of the supermarket behind my house. I learn how to reprogram myself to become an adult because in many cases I react from my inner child. Something happens and I react from the emotional state of my 4-year-old instead of the 24-year-old. In recovery, I learn how to take responsibility like an adult, but let myself feel like the child.